Another month, another free cruise. But how much did this comped cruise on Carnival Firenze really cost me? Let's break it down next. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. I like to do this series of videos because you get all of these great offers in your queues for Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Princess, and different cruise lines. And they're telling you, free cruise, you're not paying any fare. And that's great because, as you know, fares can be quite expensive. But that doesn't mean that the cruise is totally free. There's a lot of costs surrounding getting on the cruise and getting all the things you want on the cruise that do tend to add up. So that's why I do this series, and today's breakdown is for Carnival Firenze. I did a 4-night out of Long Beach, California, going to Catalina and Ensenada last month, and this is a breakdown of everything I spent to go on that cruise. Because I was cruising out of Long Beach, you would think that there'd be airfare involved in this since I'm located in Florida. But the reason I actually took this comp is because I was celebrating a very dear friend's 50th birthday in Hawaii. So I was actually flying to Hawaii anyway, and I really wanted to kind of break up that long flight. So I decided to stop in LA and take this short 4-night cruise just to break that flight up a little bit. So I'm not including the cost of airfare to get to Long Beach. However, I will count the cost of my trip to and from the airport. So having said that, let's break it all down right now. All right, we always start before we get on board. So pre-cruise, port fees and taxes for this sailing was $220.89. Premium internet was $95.20. The deposit, which is converted to onboard credit, was $100. Generally speaking, they charge you for double occupancy, but they didn't for this one. I don't know if there was some kind of sale. Maybe it was $50 deposit sale, but I only got charged $100 for the deposit. And of course, that is converted. You can spend it on the ship. Total pre-cruise, $416.09. Getting to the port. Like I said, I'm not counting my airfare. I am counting my travel from LAX. I rented a car to drive down because I had some other stuff I wanted to do. And if I was starting to add up all the Ubers or Lyfts that I was going to take to do those things, it was going to be more expensive than the car rental. So I just decided to rent a car, $74.50. My Lyft from the car rental drop off to my hotel was $22.89. I ended up walking from my hotel to the port, which was really cool. It was a very short walk, only about 20 minutes. I stayed at the Marriott that is really close to the Long Beach port, and it was a nice walk. The shuttle back from the port to LAX was $35. Now, if I would have known about it on the way there, I would have just got the shuttle both ways, but you live and learn, and it was definitely well worth the $35. I do have a bonus tip though. If you are sailing out of Long Beach and you're flying in, try to find a flight to the Long Beach airport. It is a really nice airport. It's pretty small, easy to navigate, and it's fairly close to the port. You could probably save quite a bit by flying into that airport and then just shuttling or Ubering over to the port. My total for travel, $132.39. All right, on the ship. Gambling. I had a budget of $400 and I spent $399.84. Folio balance. So anything I spent on the ship, anything I wanted to tip on a bill or buy something at the store or anything like that was $22.61. My gratuities were $64. They are the same price whether you pay on the ship or you prepay. And Carnival's got one of the best per day gratuities at $16 a day. Cash tips. I always bring singles to tip my waiters and my bar staff and everybody else. So I brought $50 for this sailing. Minus the onboard credit, which was $100, which was that deposit. And my total on board was $436.45. All right, the totals. Pre-cruise, I spent $416.09. Travel, I spent $132.39. On board, I spent $436.45. And the total was $984.93. And that breaks down to $246.23 per day, which is a heck of a lot more than I usually spend. Part of that was travel. And like I said, I like to get around $100 a day if I can. So this one was way over, and it's not something I would normally do. So something I've added to these videos is how much the brochure price is for a sailing. So what I would have saved by getting a comp cruise. For this sailing, it was $359, which actually is really, really low. We could be into the thousands, especially when you're talking about single occupancy, maybe a 7-night sailing on a premier ship like Star of the Seas or a Celebration, a bigger ship. You could be spending over $1,000 for a solo traveler. This one was really cheap, but when you think about it, for a 4-day cruise, I did save about $80 a day, which helps ease the burden a little bit. All right, so there's the breakdown. It's always a good thing to keep in mind if you're going to book one of these comp cruises that there are going to be expenses. If you want to stay on the frugal side, you can probably be around $150 a day. And if you want all the stuff, if you want the dining and the excursions and stuff like that, you're still going to end up paying a couple or a few $100s a day. And then, of course, if you're sailing with somebody else, that's just multiplied. Good thing to keep in mind if you're redeeming these comps. Coming up, it's the final video in my Firenze series, and that is the slots I recommend you play and the ones I think you should avoid if you're trying to stretch your bankroll, earn more points, and earn comps for less. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell if you want to know when the next video comes out, and throw me a like if you found this video helpful.